In this video, we'll try to understand the importance of two attributes, validate input and allow HTML. Now both of these attributes are very much related to something called as XSS. XSS stands for cross-site scripting. So first let us try to understand cross-site scripting and then we will go into details of both of these attributes. So let us first try to understand what exactly is this thing called as cross-site script. Cross-site scripting is a security attack. It is a web security attack where the attacker injects malicious code while doing data entry. Now this code can be written in JavaScript, it can be written in VB script, or it can be written in any scripting language which can run inside the browser. And once this code is injected in the end user's browser, this code can run and gain access to cookies, access to sessions, must be some local files or do some funny things. For example, you can see over here I have a very simple product data entry screen. It has a product name and product description. Now let us say that some attacker comes and he writes like this. He says script alert. Now this is JavaScript. This is a live running code /script. Now if you go and submit the script, you can see that the actual JavaScript is now running inside the browser. So once there is a live running code inside the browser, you can do anything what you want, right? You can access cookies, you can open up a window, you can try to access his local hard disk in case there are writes, etc. So this is termed as XSS attack or cross-site scripting attack. So now the next question is, how can we prevent this XSS attack in MVC? So the good news is you don't have to do anything. It happens automatically in MVC, or I can say rather there is a default security of avoiding the XSS attack. So in case you have an MVC application like this, like the way you can see on my screen, and if you try to go and put any kind of script tag, something like this, if you try to do this and if you click on submit, you will actually get an error. So that is the error. So you can see that it says a potentially dangerous data was detected from the client side and this is not allowed. But now consider scenarios where we want HTML to be posted. For example, you can see on this product screen here, I would like to do something like this. I would like to say here shirts, and I would like to say that okay, there is a discount of 10%, and this discount I would like to highlight it with a bold sign. So I would like to go and do something like this, 10% discount, right? So I want HTML to be entered here. I can understand that I don't want JavaScript to be entered, but I want HTML to be entered here, right? So in such kind of a scenario, how do we handle this situation? Because by default, when you go and post to any action of MVC, he is not allowing you to post HTML or JavaScript tags, right? So in this case also, if I do a submit, I would get the same error. And also there are lots of other scenarios. For example, if you see HTML editors, right? Whenever people upload contents, always you'd like to have a nice HTML editor where a person would like to go and put bold tags, HTML, anchor tags, div tags, and etc. So in those kind of scenarios also, I would like HTML to be enabled. So how do we handle the situation? And that's where exactly we have the validate input attribute. So what you can do now here is, now in this case, when I click on submit, it actually goes and makes a post to this post product action, right? So over this action, you can now go and say, okay, don't validate the XSS attack. In other words, for this action, for this post product, don't validate HTML and JavaScript. So you can see now I posted here validate input false. So let me rebuild the solution. Let me go back to my screen here. So if I now say here shirts, and if I say bold, and 10% discount. And if I go and do a submit, now I should be able to post HTML and see the scheme on the screen, right? And there it is. So you can now see that I can go and post HTML. And also the beauty of this validate input false is that, I have gone ahead and I've disabled the validations only for this action. So in other words, if somebody goes and tries to make an entry into this enter product, some kind of a tag, he will again throw me the security exception. So again, this validate input is very particular, in other words, on which action you want to go and disable that validation. You can go and decorate this attribute on those action only. Nice. Now this solution is a okay solution, but it is not a great solution. It is not a neat solution. There is a difference between a okay solution and a great and a neat solution. So let me explain you why it is not neat. If you want fresh air, you don't open up the doors, right? You just open up the windows, isn't it? So over here also, I want to disable validations only on product description. So over here only, I want to just go and disable the HTML validation, but I want to enable the validations on the product name. So over here, if you see, I don't want anyone to go and post HTML in the product name, but because now that you have enabled the validate input all over the action, so the end user can easily go and put a bold tag on the product name as well. Now that's bad, right? You just want HTML in this product description field and not on the product name. So is it possible that if we can have more finer control at the field level rather than on the whole action level? Because once you put on the whole action, then the whole Pandora box of security issues will open up, right? So I would like to have more granularity. I would like to go and control at the field level that do I want HTML or not on that field. And that's where exactly this allow HTML attribute is useful. So the allow HTML attribute actually can be applied on a property level. So in other words, what we'll do is now let us go ahead and disable the validation on the whole action. So you can see that I have deleted that validate input attribute. And now I can go on the class level, on the product class level. And over here, I can go and say allow HTML. And now let me go and build this. Right. So now this is more neat solution as compared to the previous one, right? So if you see now, so if I go and do a submit, it will again throw me exception because now I won't be allowed to post HTML in the product name because now the HTML is only allowed in the product description. So if I go and do a submit, you can see that on the product name, I'm not allowed to do this, right? And if I go and remove these tags from here, it's perfectly allowed. So there it is, right? So in other words, the biggest difference between allow HTML and validate input is that at which level do you want to allow scripts or allow tags. So if you go and do a validate input on the action level, then it's on the whole action. And if you want to go and do more granular control, you can use the allow HTML attribute on the property level. So I hope that you enjoyed this short video. So let me just summarize what we have learned in this short video. First thing, there is a attack called as the XSS attack, cross-site script attack, wherein the attacker can go and inject script into your page and create nuisance. Second point, by default, MVC checks for XSS. Okay, so by default there is XSS enabled. In case there are scenarios where you want to create a HTML editor or the product description scenario which I showed here, then you can go and say validate input false to disable the tag validation. And if you want to go and have more granular control, then you can use allow HTML. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much.